Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Rewinds Rewind, episode 4. We are here. We are so back. I'm Jackson. How are we doing?
Fresh from Vegas, it's Swan.
I
We
am
missed you.
Graham. Thanks for coming to the pod.
I'm Sydney, the minority hire, technically, the female minority hire.
And I'm Shing.
Here we are. Cycle 4 has coming on a rather quick cycle, actually.
Thank God.
They were
3
quite
days.
snappy about it. I think it was done over like less than 3 days. They had that long ass cycle and they were like, enough. Headline for the cycle. It's a song of self-sabotage. Let's talk about it.
Clever.
Last cycle, we all had this giant dramatic 6-5 vote, the closest vote in Big Brother Rewind's history.
We haven't had a vote that close ever before.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
we
we've
fact
had
checked.
That's
5-4s last season.
We had the tiny thing, yeah.
As far as like number of votes, the amount of 11 people voting, it being this close, this was the closest vote in Big Brother Rewind's history.
And coming off of this vote,
Iconic.
fingers were immediately pointed at Zach.
Zachary.
Zach Ranty Pants.
Zachariah.
Everybody, every
And it
single
was
person.
deserved. And it was
Even
deserved.
Devin on the way out the door, he was like, it's Zach.
People pretty immediately put some blame on Zach for like orchestrating this big 6-5 no reason vote when there should have been at the least 7 votes for Devin to be evicted. So Zach got caught like with his fingers in all of it.
But the thing is that no one's really doing it at Zach to his face.
No.
Yeah, they're
Um,
still playing coy with him, which is
Yeah,
smart, I guess.
but it's specifically the members of Shield. That is Brittany, Derek, Nicole, Cody, Jocasta, and Zach that are very upset with Zach because they were the ones that thought that Joey was going to go home. So they're the ones that get the major blowback from this the most. And it really shows in their DRs. Specifically, Nicole and Cody very much went ham in their DRs about Zach.
Cody
The
having
big
a
thing-
dramatic overreaction to something in his diary room.
Oh my
Who's
God.
shocked?
What?
Yeah, the big thing was because they like sensed that things were going awry and were going to flip to vote off Devin to save face. And Zach was the big proprietor, like, no, we've got it. We're good. So he had himself under a lot of heat. And then his best buddy, Donnie Joe Thompson, goes up to him and is like, hey, Zach, I'm here now. How should we go about this? Should I just be honest with them? And Zach pounces on the opportunity to say yes. And Donnie goes down the line and says, hey guys, it was me. I'm sorry. I was sleep deprived and I flipped last second because I was closer with Joey. The DRs once again lit back up like, oh my God, it was Donnie. Zach, I'm so sorry to read this back. Oh my God. And they run to Shield and they're like, oh my God, it was Donnie. We can't trust Donnie anymore. And Zach has just been absolved of everything.
Donnie has done some stuff like this before. Really, he like tells people things that he's supposedly done, but it's even more than what he actually did, to the point where people do have this dramatic reaction, especially because they just spent basically the entire night after Devin was evicted spiraling about how it was all Zach's fault. So Donnie like wakes up and decides to tell everybody that it was actually him and it was all his fault, and that he's the reason that Devin went home and he's the reason that it was 6-5. And so people are like, I feel so bad. We were accusing Zach of this entire time. And so with all the information that they just have, they're like, Zach voted with us and thought that he had the votes with us the whole time. Like Zach was always loyal. I can't believe we doubted him.
Yeah, and it didn't help. Donnie's message was like, I mean, we talked about it. It was like going way overkill about it too, but it was like, I'm so sorry. I hope we can work together in the future. And all these people are like, what is going on? I don't know why he ended up taking basically nearly all the blame for it and just completely lifting.
Because if there's a misplay on a silver platter in front of Donnie, he's going to take it and do it.
We immediately go into HOH, and it was a pretty like fortuitous timing with the dynamics of everything in the house being so split.
Yeah.
We ended up doing Wavelength, which we made Reggie Steal Your Mind. Super cute title from Shinx. A lot of people do really terribly. Some people that should have probably done terribly for the sake of their own games, i.e. Zach, do extremely well for some reason.
So we've got Cody and Joey, who each other's sides, they were like, oh my God, you guys need to throw so Cody/Joey doesn't win. They don't even throw, they just genuinely shit the
Yeah, they're
bed.
just really genuinely terrible at it. So
Then you have Caleb and Hayden who try their best and they just lost the plot. Christine and Donnie almost didn't do it, but they came in at the last second and also couldn't clutch it up. Amber and Victoria put up a good effort, but then we have Derek and Jocasta versus Brittany and Zach. So Shield is like, oh my god, yay, Shield HOH, woo! Very lucky for Nicole and the rest of them that they didn't pop off on Zach until after the HOH
Yeah.
because
yeah.
Derek gets another silver medal with Jocasta in tow, and Zach and Brittany take the HOH, so that Zach did not need to win. Brittany didn't want to win either because she doesn't want to be a comp threat. And with Zach, everyone's happy that Zach won. And I'm like, if everyone's happy that you're HOH, you shouldn't be the HOH.
Yeah, you don't need to be winning HOH.
Neither Brittany nor Zach wanted to win, so I don't understand why they both went as hard as they did. But, we did say in our episode with Blaze, the thing that makes Nicole in a tier above Zach and Cody in terms of like power play and being able to actually get her way to end game in good positions is that she thinks before she speaks. So this is just another example of that, of being like, okay, well, I'm not going to go off on Zach right now. I'm going to keep it together until I get more information to then use that information to make a calculated move. So this was just another example of Nicole being able to keep it together before she did that. Whereas like Cody, Jocasta, and Derek, they weren't all like, I can't believe you've done this to Zach, but they basically got super, super awkward and super standoffish almost. And Brittany and Nicole didn't do that.
We have a lot of reactive players on this cast, and kind of that point being that like Nicole's one strength, especially in this group, is that she is not immediately reactive. You can see her going through the thought processes of everything, but she's not like immediately acting on those thoughts. She kind of waits for the opportune time, which, like we said, nobody else really does.
A lot of these people just do not know how to rein it in. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people are given information and then immediately have a breakdown about it and then immediately confront someone about it. So Brittany and Zach are named HOHs, and
they decide to let Zach nominate first,
Yeah.
which I think was a good call on Brittany's part, with Zach's trust still being shaky.
Yeah.
That she can like see how he moves. But then it ended up not really mattering because Zach just deferred to them because he's still at this time doesn't want to take the shot at Shield himself, which made it really awkward for him when all the people that he just helped organize his vote with are like, hey, Zach, what's up? And then he goes to Christine, who had him at number 1 on her trust rankings, by the way, and is like, hey, Christine, I'm putting you up. And hey, Caleb, you've already gone up 3 times before. What's a 4th? And they're just like, what? And they run it back over to Joey and Hayden, and they're like, okay, we still can't fucking trust Zach. This is ridiculous.
Christine said that Zach had previously told her that she was his number 1 too.
Yes.
So like it
Yeah.
looks incredibly
Right.
sus, even more than it would have been just like organizing a vote together. It's like, no, you literally said I was your number 1.
No,
Yeah.
she confronts him about it. This is
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
little
she
bit
does.
later, but she literally tells him like, hey, by the way, like I've thought about it and I'm not feeling that good about this because like you literally told me I was number 1 and like I thought we were good. And then I think Zach's answer was like, I don't remember saying that.
Yeah, he's like, I didn't mean it. If that's how.
Yeah, and then he was like, yeah, I
my
didn't. But if I said it, I didn't really mean it though. I was just joking around, like something like just fucking like.
it was just a prank, bro.
It was just a prank, bro. Like I don't
Just a
know.
prank.
I just call everyone my number 1. Like I don't know.
Yeah, it's such a bad look to the other side of like this Hayden, Joey, Victoria contingent that he just helped organize this vote flip with, to then be like, yeah, I'm not going to target Shield members, while Shield members are putting the pressure on him to target like Hayden, Joey, Victoria, like someone from that side. So he ends up winning this HOH, and he's put in a position where he's being pressured by both sides. And we don't really see it play out nearly as much until when the renom situation comes up. That's when it becomes really apparent. Because the first set of nominations, Zach can get away with like, oh, well, I'm just trying to play it safe. Like, I don't really want to upset anybody, whatever.
Yeah.
And while people are like, that's a cop out, they can kind of understand it, especially because if you're not the actual HOH, you don't want to get dethroned. So you don't want
Yeah.
to like piss off some people and then get dethroned and backdoored or that kind of situation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
That's what I was.
he can kind of play it off at the beginning when he isn't like permanently HOH. But once he becomes, spoiler alert, but for the battle of the block later. But once he becomes actual HOH, that becomes a real problem for him.
All of these people are already sus of Zach anyways, like Hayden and Victoria and Amber, but he is HOH. So obviously they don't want to like directly do something immediately.
I think if he got dethroned, they might have thrown him under the bus. But again, they like sat on the information and waited. Brittany nominated Joey because she just voted to Victor, and she just did Victoria because she was another Joey voter to stay. So she was like, these are my easy noms that I can do.
Because
Donnie, for
Zach
whatever
goes in
reason.
first and is like, I'm just gonna do the easy noms. I'm gonna nominate
Yeah.
Caleb and Christine, and Brittany has to go in after. And so obviously Joey is an easy option for her. She's already nominated Joey once. And then her and Victoria just don't really click. And Donnie has like sort of kind of been getting in with like Derek and Nicole and them. And so they kind of vouch for Donnie a little bit when they discuss it and be like, well, we can maybe like pull him in still, and we don't want to like completely alienate him. That's why Brittany decides to go with Victoria next to Joey.
The Battle of the Block is a classic night moves, or in our case, Corbin night moves. And it gets off to a pretty slow start because Caleb takes an hour to eat dinner.
Move. He had to really get the perfect
I'm not
starting position.
I'm not gonna say anyone flopped because they were all like they were like thinking of
Yeah.
strategies. But
Yeah, as far
ultimately,
as night
Joey,
moves goes, this was like,
it was a good match.
yeah, it was pretty pretty contentious.
And I can't even comment or talk on how people do because I'm so bad at night moves.
I
I've
don't
done
do
it
night
like 3 or 4 times in orgs at this point, and I've never come close.
Christine gets taken out fairly early on, and then by that point, Joey has just played well enough that Victoria and Caleb go out. She still has a plethora of moves left, so Joey and Victoria win Battle of the Block. And
Joey
Zach,
really like turns it out.
God,
Like by
I just want to reiterate this because not only did Joey win Battle of the Block, Joey demolished Battle of the Block. Everyone else had one move left in night moves, and she had 9. It was crazy. I've
Work.
never seen anything like it.
So like big props to her. Team Rocket kind of like shoehorns in their task from last cycle where they had to accuse someone of throwing their vote. Zach does his typical like chaos gremlin house chat message or whatever that he does pretty much once per cycle. And
Yep.
Victoria takes it as an opportunity and yeah, is like, so you're saying you voted to evict Joey, huh? And then like tagged us in it. We were like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, and Nicole
Then
does some shenanigans with like Shield members when they're still mad at Zach.
Yeah.
yeah.
About it and tries to get that to count. Like it's a very half-hearted effort.
Then
Yeah.
they get their new mission where you guys, listeners, voted to make them get someone to meet them on fan cam. And spoiler alert, they do not succeed by the eviction deadline. But they
No.
did not, they sure did try.
Since we're
Right.
talking about it right now, though, I do want to say the vote being held up by Nicole going around like begging and pleading on her knees, trying to get someone to make her a fan
He
cam.
is tied to Donnie. Like that's the best part.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's like
So
literally stuck with
funny.
Donnie.
People are like starting to get convinced that the vote is flipping because it's almost a full 24 hours. And like everyone's so confident, like surely it would just be Christine going home. But it's taking so long for all the votes to come in that people are starting to get paranoid that the vote is flipping when really it's Nicole tied to Donnie in their tandem mouse punishment, desperately trying to get someone to make a fan cam.
She's doing the full
She's
9
sending people
yards.
websites. She's
It's
giving people
so
like
good.
breakdown step-by-step tutorials. She's sending people images and reference photos.
She's making her own and be like, hey, do this. It's like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah,
She
she's
tried
basically
so
making them and trying to
hard.
get people to like send them back to her.
So good.
So
It was an
funny.
A for effort, but an F for
Literally my favorite part of the
Yeah.
cycle.
Yeah, it
100%.
was very funny.
Yeah, good for her.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Team Rocket gets their task for this fan cam. So Brittany is dethroned. Joey and Victoria are safe, leaving
Also,
Caleb
can I
and
just say
Christine on the block. Yeah, what's
that
up?
Caleb, he's won at least 2 battles of the block, right? So
He's
Oh
won
no,
far.
actually
3
no.
of
Yeah, that's a good
4.
point. This is the
Yeah.
first battle
First
of the
time
block
he's lost is
that
Battle of
Caleb
the
has
Yeah.
lost. He was
He
3
is,
for 3
yeah.
before this, and he's finally lost
Been
his first one.
dethroned in his
Which
own
puts
fashion.
it put him in an interesting position where I think depending on the week, strategy varied, but pretty much it was like Caleb got nominated. He wins Battle of the Block. He knows he's immune for the rest of the week. And to some degree, he just kind of sits back and lets himself be immune.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
interesting, even though, spoiler, I don't know if the strategy this week was good, but he definitely had a different approach where he's not going to be immune for the rest of the week. Obviously, he's going to play in veto, but it's kind of putting him in a new and different position that he's not been
he
in
has
yet.
to kind of take like an active position in the
Right.
second half of like the strategy and everything of the game, which we haven't seen him do so far. So yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Okay,
Got
so
it.
veto.
Yeah, so yeah, we go into the power veto competition. First, Caleb has been nominated 4 times at this point, and this is the first power of veto competition he's playing in.
Honestly,
Yep.
So
I believe this is everyone's done one now except for Amber with this draw.
yes,
Yes.
I
that
think.
is correct.
And we have Donnie picked, Cody picked, and for the first time, a Battle of the Block winner, I believe, is also picked with Victoria.
Victoria,
picking.
yeah.
And we have ourselves Take a Tons Trinkets, which is the New York Times Connections Rewind / Pokemon themed. Thank you, Jackson. And then the Yankee swap at the end, the classic. It does not go well for some people.
I feel like we say that every competition. We're like, some people do fine, some people do terrible.
Someone
Cody.
won. 5 other people lost.
Cody's intention to throw. So he says on purpose he's not going to read the rules because he wants to throw. And in the process, DQs himself in the first round. Christine, who was trying on the block, did not give up. Got some slow ass times, but at least she tried. Donnie and Victoria, who both put up good efforts, but ultimately didn't care enough and just DNF'd after a certain point. And it ultimately came down to Caleb and Zach. Caleb went fairly early on, and he had the fastest times on everything, including the final round at that point. And then Zach was the last one to go, and it destroys every single round. And then we get to the 5th round, the hardest round, where Zach unfortunately fumbles. If we want to just like go into the awards and whatnot, Cody wins the veto in 6th place, as one does in a Yankee swap. Then Christine, 5th place, gets the Orthwormitard, and she quickly trades that for Cody's veto that she knows she will not keep, but she won't take the punishment either, and that's a win.
And Cody, for literally getting last place because he failed to properly execute this competition, is genuinely mad that Christine, who got out immediately after, who is on the block as a nominee, switched her Earthwormitard for the veto. And Cody said, if you ever cross me, like you're dead. And then he gets it and he's like, oh my God, wait, this is kind of everything.
So 4th place, we have a little bit of a rewindier collab with Victoria getting advice from Jovi and Cindy Lou, aka Katie and Ari, our winner and runner-up of Rewinder.
Absolute
games.
legends.
Love them. Then we have Donnie getting 3rd place with another Rewindier cameo from Kat, Heather Lee Fitzgerald, a Scream Queen, a
absolute icon.
And Donnie switches for the veto so quickly because he doesn't want his DR claw. Zach is unhappy about this, with Donnie swapping to take the veto. So then Zach takes his 2nd place prize after choking to Caleb, and he gets a veto ticket. So between next week and the double eviction, he can slot himself into a veto competition if he's not already chosen. And Caleb gets the Tandem Mouse handcuffs, which he of course trades with Donnie for the veto. And Donnie gets randomly shackled to Nicole, who is ecstatic about this.
Yes, she's very happy about it.
Zach is mad at Donnie for taking the Tandem Mouse because he can't have a one-on-one with Donnie. So he basically has to fly through the Renom solo now.
Yeah, a part of the Tandem Mouse punishment is not only the cute profile pictures, but also Donnie and Nicole are linked together in everything. So they have their own little DR that they can talk in. All the one-on-ones, it basically turned into like 3-way one-on-ones. They both have to be in there talking to the other person, and any alliances that they're not both in, they can't access or be a part of anything. So it could very well affect like strategy and everything. Like Shink said, when it comes to Donnie being so close strategically with Zach. The veto wraps and Caleb gets his 4th win in 4 cycles. He takes himself off the block with a veto. He writes an amazing a la Amber nomination cycle 2 chat GPT speech to do in ceremonies. Juan read the Amber nomination speech week 2 so he can read the Caleb's veto ceremony.
Is that start doing a Caleb voice? No.
Yes.
Oh my God.
You absolutely should.
Yes. Now that you did that, you have to.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me take you on a wild ride through the tumultuous terrain of Big Brother, where the legend of Beast Mode Cowboy reigns supreme. 4 weeks, 4 nominations. But did that stop me? Absolutely not. I've faced more blocks than a city planner. I love that line. It's so fucking stupid. But each time I bulldoze my way through with the strength of 1,000 stampeding bulls. And let's talk about the Battle of the Block, shall we? 3 victories, 3 times I've emerged from the ashes like a phoenix with a 10-gallon hat. They tried to block my path, but I simply knocked down the door of destiny and strutted on through like a true cowboy king. But now, as I hold this power of veto in my hands, I must make a decision. And what's a cowboy without a little bit of self-preservation? That's right, folks. I'm using this veto on myself because even the strongest stallion needs to look out for number 1 sometimes. My fellow house guests, I say this. Y'all better buckle up because Beast Boy Cowboy is about to lasso his way to victory. You could throw me in the ring, but you can't tame this untamed stallion. So, here's to the naysayers, the doubters, and the haters. Watch in awe as I ride off into the sunset of success, leaving a trail of defeated foes in my wake. Because in this house, there's only one law, and it's written by the stars. Long live the reign of Beast Mode Cowboy. Yeehaw!
Snaps for
I
Beast
love
Mode
that. I
Cowboy.
love that.
The Texas
Oh,
leaped out of
funny.
you.
A bit,
And
a bit.
I think most people can see that it's clearly like jokes and clearly
Yeah.
like just for fun, but Cody, in typical Cody nature,
Oh my God.
immediately goes to his DR and he's like, "What the fuck is
Fuck
Caleb
yeah.
talking about? Caleb is such an inactive flop piece of shit. He thinks he can go into ceremonies and talk like he's beast mode cowboy. Like, please. The only reason you're still here is because you managed to win competitions. Like, oh, what a loser."
Something Cody threw
Typical
that.
Cody rant.
Cody, maybe you shouldn't be throwing them, and Caleb wouldn't win.
Yeah,
But the funny
literally.
thing
But
is, like,
yeah.
that seems super like vitriolic and angry, but like that's literally just an average Cody DR entry. Personally, I loved the cowboy speech. It was fucking awesome.
Oh yeah, I thought it was hilarious.
It was funny.
It was so awesome.
Executed AI speech. And that's my other thing is I'm like, you can clearly tell it's AI. Like the person
Yeah.
playing as Caleb didn't write that. Like, come
No.
on.
I really want
Yeah.
to know what he put in as the prompt for that
I-
too, because
yeah,
that's so funny.
No, it's like, how did we get here? That's always what intrigues me. Like,
Yeah, I love it. But I loved it. I love seeing this side of Caleb. I think it's so much fun.
This
And
is
like
what I
this
wanted.
is what we've been talking about. Yeah, in our like LVPs for the last 3 cycles. We're like, we know this person is here, like underneath there somewhere. And I think a large factor is kind of what Sydney said about how he just won himself immunity like halfway through each of these cycles before this. And so he kind of
Mhm.
just checks out and doesn't have to do anything. But he was so much more like present and active and engaged in like the goings on this cycle, almost because he was still on the block and kind of forced to be. And it really, like, he really did show a lot of fun stuff like this.
So onto the point of Zach being pissed that he doesn't have Donnie, he needs his strategic number 1 right now because he is in a bit of renom crosshairs between both sides, with one side trying to make him backdoor Hayden, the other side trying to make him backdoor Brittany or Derek.
Because at
he
this
just-
point, with the people
Yeah.
that are safe through competitions and eligible, he is quite literally in an alliance with every single person that he has
Mhm.
left as a choice
Yep.
to nominate. So
Why you shouldn't have won the HOH, buddy boy.
no, he has to make a renom, and all of like the shield side of things are like, oh my god, this is perfect. Like we can take a shot at like Hayden. There's this golden opportunity for a renom for the HOH to backdoor someone, but since Zach is playing like he's with literally everybody, he's being told by this one side of people to backdoor Hayden. This is a perfect shot for us, and then being told by those very people, we can backdoor Brittany, we can backdoor Derek. This is the perfect shot for us. So Zach is like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Zach's like knee jerk, like immediate is like, I'm gonna have to put up Amber. Like that's really like the only thing I can do that won't
Yeah.
absolutely like wreck my game with half the house. And so he starts telling people that, and Hayden does not want that to happen because Hayden really likes Christine. like they've bonded, and then also really likes Amber and doesn't want to have to choose between the two of them because either way he's losing an ally. So
Yeah.
Hayden is like really pushing hard not to have Amber be a renom, to the point where it makes Zach consider the like backdoor Hayden thing more than anything that he's
It
saying.
gets really
Pushing.
passive aggressive, really intense,
Mm-hmm.
and Zach just goes full Switzerland. Is like, no, Hayden, you're fine. They talked it out. They're like, I'm sorry for being sarcastic. You're fine. They're still being sarcastic, passive aggressive, but then
Yeah.
Zach just like toughs it out. Does Amber?
To her own chagrin, and
Yeah.
the noms are locked with Christine and Amber.
A placement match is not happening. Brittany broke the
No, yeah,
curse and beat
yeah.
that placement.
I
Good
remember
for her.
talking with Brittany in her DR. I was like, congratulations on beating like IRL Brittany's placement. And she was like, yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
I was
I
sweating
was
there for
shitting
a
bricks.
second because Paula and Devin both went back to back in their same spots. Like fate was being like, your next bitch. I think it could have been, well, actually not really, because if Caleb stayed on the block, it more than likely would have just been Caleb going home.
That vote would not have taken 24 hours.
Yeah, over Christine. But with Christine and Amber, it's largely open and shut. Like Amber just has like lapped Christine socially when it comes to this game, like a couple times over at this point. It's
Christine
more just
definitely
like,
had her flowers by this point. She finally had her bonds, but it was like Amber was like probably one of the single worst. I feel like the only good option for Christine was Caleb or maybe Joey,
yeah.
and any other
Yeah.
option was just death for her. And they're both
I
safe.
think
So yeah,
Christine definitely probably could have stayed over Caleb if she played her cards right, just because people wanted to get that huge comp threat out when they had the chance and all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
She really could have maneuvered it. However, with it being Amber, it was kind of over for her.
Yeah,
And she knew
yeah.
that,
Which
which is what was so sad about it. It was like a
Oh yeah,
24-hour death march. It was so
I know.
sad.
I was gonna say
Amber and
go ahead.
Christine are like super close as well. And so
Yeah, they
it's
just
kind of
dominated.
sad.
The same thing happened with Paula, where when Christine was next to Paula, Paula was like, "Great, like this is the only person I like feel good with. Like
Yeah.
Christine's my number one." And the same thing
Yeah.
happened kind of with Christine and Amber.
I was gonna say we touched on this with Christine either last episode or episode before that. She's in a decent standing, but it takes one unlucky battle the block or veto set for her to be on the block
Yeah.
post eviction, and that probably unfortunately came true for her this week.
Especially she was like with the last cycle, she did finally like grab some agency for herself and started like really like thinking like strategically and like trying to position herself in the game. But I think it really just comes back to a lot of kind of what I said last cycle too. I don't think she did nearly enough with it, and I think she could have done so much more with it. She got her trio alliance with Donnie and Hayden, but even then, they really didn't even talk that much this entire cycle, like in that. And maybe Christine could have like been a little bit more proactive with Zach or had some kind of angle or strategic point with it. But because she just hasn't really gotten to connect with a lot of people, she has a couple like very niche people that really like her, like Amber and Hayden. But with the limited options that we have, like, okay, that's one vote in like the 10 votes that you need. So there's really just not anything that you could possibly do with it. I will say I am glad she at least had a bit of a moment like last cycle and was able to do that and not, kind of not just have like a flat line for her whole like run on the season. But it's like the roller coaster was like ticking up, 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 up for her. It's like it just went woo and just completely like went back, and then there was just nothing to be done with it.
I don't know if this vote was ever really in contention. We kind of spoken it already between everyone getting paranoid of a flip, but no flip actually happening. But Hayden, for I guess just to throw a hanky, voted out Amber. But the only real person Christine had on her side was Caleb, who was over here trying but he was like, I'm hearing people vote for Amber. Like, who the fuck is voting for Amber?
It was so
Nobody.
bad.
The voices
Not a
in his
soul.
head.
Yeah, I think
And
with
then
Hayden, I think he
yeah.
thought that like, well, if I just throw a Hinky vote and it's just like one vote anyways, people are just gonna assume it's Caleb. Like everyone knows that
Yeah.
Caleb and Amber don't like each other.
Caleb lied
Also-
right to Amber's face, saying, "I'm gonna keep you, girl." Locks his vote, and then his intuition like, "Haha, I just lied to her face." And
Yeah.
Also, Hayden was really close with Christine, though. Hayden and
He
Christine
was.
had a very good bond. I honestly, I mean, I think Christine was higher in his trust rankings than Amber was.
And yeah, and that's why Hayden fought so hard when it came to the renom instead of the vote, because he knew that if Amber was the Rena, like it was an open
Like,
check
Christine
case.
was going
Christine
home.
was going to go home. So that's why he
Yeah.
was trying to get like a third option to potentially keep both of them in the game instead. But once it was decided that that wasn't going to happen, Hayden was like, well, this fucking sucks. But I still really like Christine, and people are probably just going to assume it's Caleb anyways. So I'll gladly throw a pity vote. I don't want Christine to get evicted unanimously.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
more what it was, in my opinion.
So Amber does get nominated as the replacement nominee, obviously. And thankfully, all of the work she's done in these past cycles and being a super like well-liked social player, very, very good at the social game, and finally breaking through and getting into these alliances with people and being a real priority for a lot of people. She was by and large fine, but she gets nominated and is instantly kind of like, oh, like, wait, how do I campaign? Like, I don't really know like what to do with this. Which was shocking
Yeah.
because I thought she would kind of have it on lock and be good with that. But it really did show she kind of floundered when it came to like, I don't know what to do with this. Like, I don't know how to like present myself or campaign. She does not take the nomination very well.
Well, and
She,
also Zach and her have a conversation where he's like, "Hey, I need to pawn someone. Is it okay if
Oh,
it's you?" And she's
yeah.
like, I
No.
guess so." And then she's in her DR like, "I'm gonna skin Zach alive. I'm gonna put his head on a fucking platter and
Yeah.
kill his family and his mother."
Amber says, I'll skin him. Like, it's just bad move after bad move. When I stay, the whole house knows he's playing both sides. I'm not afraid to put his ass up. On my ass, he'll be out of the house by dawn. And that's why you're going home next week. I'm gonna be separated from my sister Christine. Like, I'm gonna cry, but he's going to hell. He's trying to make an alliance with me seconds after telling me I'm going up. Like, bitch, you're not intelligent. I still disdain you.
And Zach does not realize how much he has torched his relationship with Amber by pawning
Which is
her.
funny.
No, yeah. Amber's like at this point going like full scorched earth on
Yeah.
Zach.
If
Like,
Zach were to end up as a final nominee, she's voting.
I think
him
she'd
out.
insta vote. I think she'd
Yeah.
insta vote, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It is crazy that he made the decision to literally send her a paragraph being like, "Can I pawn you?" And she's like, "No, I guess. What am I supposed to do about it?" And then he goes, "But I really want to make an alliance with you." Like, literally, that's the next message. And he also goes in his DR, he's like, "I don't know why I did that. Like, that probably was a bad idea."
he picked the right one because Amber will hold a grudge.
Yeah.
Yep.
This will, I mean, I can literally see this coming back to bite him like as soon as next week, but also like I'm thinking like final 6. Amber's like, hey Zach, remember cycle 4?
I can see like mid jury, late jury. Amber needs a replacement nominee, and
Yeah.
Zach is eligible. And he's like, "Hey Zach, do you want to be a pawn for me?"
Like I see her holding this grudge.
And honestly, I live. Go off.
He will grave stomp on him, and honestly, maybe it's deserved at this point. No offense.
So yeah. A lot of the votes are coming in. Christine vote, Christine vote, Christine vote. Hayden throws his pity vote onto Amber just so Christine doesn't get evicted unanimously. It comes down to just Caleb and Nicole are the only ones that haven't voted yet because Caleb has decided that he's gonna get Amber to go home. It's not even a good campaign. Or like a
No.
really proactive one. I think he talked to Brittany. And Brittany was like, yeah, I've heard Christine is going home. So that's probably who I'll be voting for. And all Caleb did was like reply to that and be like, oh, really? Who have you heard that from?
I think it's a strategy that could have thrown chaos into the vote if Caleb were a more social player. But like Caleb being like, well, I heard the votes on Amber, like, and all this, like people are gonna be like, okay, like nobody talks to Caleb,
Who the fuck is
whatever.
talking to
If
Caleb?
like
Yeah.
if like Zach or Cody or Nicole tried to use the strategy of being like, oh, I heard the votes on Amber, like I think most other players would suddenly be like, oh shit, wait, how if Nicole's hearing this, like
Yeah.
why am I not hearing this? But it doesn't work for the level of social gameplay that Caleb's had thus far.
No. And also,
Not quite.
everyone knows that Caleb and Amber like openly loathe each other.
Yeah.
So no one's going to take anything about Amber that Caleb says seriously.
Yeah.
people start getting paranoid that it's on like hour like 22 or something of this vote and not all the votes are still in, when really it's just like we said, it's Caleb's half-ass campaign to get Amber out, and Nicole dragging Victoria and Zach while handcuffed to Donnie like through each one-on-one,
And keeping Donnie
desperately
like
trying to
blinded at the
get these
same
fan
time.
cams. Yeah, it's a mess. But eventually Nicole is like, okay, I tried, like whatever. And I did my best. She vows that she'll make fan cams for any request that any spectator takes for the next cycle, like as punishment for herself for failing. God bless her. And yeah, and she puts in her Christine vote, and then it's just Caleb that's left. And Caleb is like, well, I tried, but these people just don't want to play the game. And like, yeah, begrudgingly like puts in the second vote for Amber. So Christine is sent home 8-2 over Amber. Christine, over the course of this cycle, grew very like embittered by the
Yeah.
whole like state of the house and how she was like nominated multiple times and like her treatment of it. So she definitely did have a few choice words.
She said, well, what can I say? To the ones who said I don't talk to them much, first note, it's a two-way street. And I did find myself trying to message most of you first. Stop trying to go with the grain, guys. Seriously. Make waves. Change things up. Stop nominating people who've already been put up. And you already know who I'm cheering for because I told you so. And if I didn't, then have fun guessing. And I'll see all of you on the flip side. Well, maybe winky face.
In the beginning, she was a standout for the wrong reasons of being someone that, at least in comparison to the rest of the cast, wasn't as socially active. And while I do think she picked it up as the cycles went on, like the damage was already done and people had already formed their allegiances and their loyalties. And there was just only so much she could have done. So
Yeah, I think she just missed some key socialization early on in the game that really established bonds and allegiances. And that's kind of, even though she improved, she wasn't able to make up for that lost time, really.
we can take this time to go through and maybe hit on any points that we might have missed through people. I will say Brittany continued with winning HOH with Zach to really like strengthen that bond up more and more. And Zach is even more endeared to Brittany and really likes Brittany and genuinely wants to like work with Brittany like deep into the game. So good on her.
Which is funny because his number one ally hates Brittany. Once
With
Brittany
a passion.
Yeah,
Especially
Brittany's
after week
gone.
5.
You know, life is all about balance. Even though Brittany has won, I think, more competitions than Derek at this point, Derek
Yeah, I
is
think
still
so.
seen as like the predominant, like
I think
big comp threat. So
Derek's gotten more second places, which is probably not helping
that's
that
true.
illusion.
Yeah.
When your average is 1.5, like
Yeah,
that's
that is
wild.
crazy. I think
Go ahead,
Cody kind of had one of his best weeks this week, just because he stayed so under the radar, which is like drastically different from what we're used to seeing for Cody.
That's true.
It was kind
Yeah.
of like a good week for him almost, just because
He didn't have to do anything.
he didn't do anything.
A lot of the members of S.H.I.E.L.D. really did not have a lot to do this cycle.
Yeah.
There was some damage control and there was some like making up and piecing more together what happened with the Devon vote, but that's about as far as any of the members of S.H.I.E.L.D. had to do. None of them were in any danger.
Nicole did patch things up with Joey in a fashion I did not expect. Like I thought Joey would have had as much vitriol towards her as she does Derek, but she's actually been like championing Nicole in the DR. Like I love Nicole now. We've made up. It's like Nicole has quickly like sutured that bond up. Like she never
And
damaged
not
it.
just that weird thing that Nicole sent to Hayden last cycle, but like the night after, like that she voted to evict Joey. She's like, I actually really love Joey now. Like,
Yeah, she's like
like
genuinely
it's
like built
actually
up a
now they
bond,
actually do like each other, which is just
which is
another
very
like props
surprising.
to Nicole.
Donnie was basically
Donnie torched his
not
game.
here, and when he was here, it was actually worse for his game.
Yeah.
So
Donnie was like double fisting drinks at Margaritaville, like taking a shot. I voted out Devin. Like, and then he like went away for a couple hours and then took another shot and it was like, and I lied about all of it. And then like that's what he did. He did that for the first like day of the cycle and then just like fucked off. And really, he kind of came back for the veto competition and then got the tandem mouse punishment with Nicole and had a little bit of fun with that.
Honestly, the best thing that happened to Donnie this week was getting the tandem mouse punishment with Nicole, and being latched to a figure so positive actually
Yeah.
helped his reputation, because he was latched to Nicole and everybody loves Nicole.
Yeah.
They were like, oh my gosh, we love you guys. You know what I mean? So it was like it kind of honestly
Yeah.
helped Donnie a little bit that he kind of hitched his wagon to Nicole at the end of the cycle.
Yeah. But then
Good.
because of that, kind of like what Shink said, because of this overwhelming positivity from Nicole and to Nicole in those same chats, with some of these people that Donnie is like pretty openly not like super positive with, Donnie was kind of like mirroring it and being like, oh my God, yes, like ha 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 ha, we love.
Mhm.
And Nicole was like, girl, we all know that's not true.
Yeah.
Did
Joey,
a lot and
props to you, mama,
survived.
for saving
Still being
yourself at
here.
the Battle of the Block. Yeah, she's like
Yeah.
super. If she was cockroach mode last cycle, she's like super cockroach mode now. She's
Yeah.
4 for 4 on nominations, and she finds a way. Life finds a way. She's here to set records. Okay.
Mhm.
As she should.
This is a place for legends, okay? And she's very quickly encroaching on not only the nomination record. I'm pretty sure she's already smashed the consecutive nomination record,
Yeah, it was
let
4.
alone the
Now she's got.
pre-jury
I think it was
nomination
3. Now she's
record.
got 4.
Like,
Yeah.
she's coming for it. So
Did-
we haven't really talked about Victoria all that much.
Which continues to be a theme in this
Yeah.
season, which I don't like, because I was really excited to see her positioning after episode 1. I thought she was in a really interesting place. And even at the end of episode 2, I thought she was, especially after like the bigger, larger alliances kind of started getting formed, I was really excited because I thought Victoria was going to be this kind of like floater position, and specifically kind of floating back and forth between the different groups of power and being able to kind of occupy the spot that Donnie and Zach have and do it in a way more subtle way. But that hasn't happened. And it sucks because I really, really like Victoria and I really, really wanted to see her do well. And she's doing fine, but
She
like,
is number 4 on trust ranking, so she'll give
yeah,
her
she's
that.
doing fine. Yeah.
I mean, it's honestly just that at this point, Victoria has kind of hitched herself to the like Hayden, Joey,
Yeah.
Donnie side of things. She also like it's really just that thing. Like there are players like Victoria that are like this, and it's perfectly fine. Like
Yeah.
it's like it's the difference in like what we've talked about basically this whole episode. Like if you don't have to do something, it can be perfectly fine and honestly for the best to just not.
Yeah.
And Victoria
Yeah.
really hasn't. I mean, this was her first time being nominated, and it's not like she completely bombed the Battle of the Block. Like she was
True.
right
Yeah.
there, and she outlasted Christine, and she
cut off
Caleb at the last
Caleb at the
second.
yeah, and
pass.
she cut off Caleb.
Yeah.
Like
So
she was an active part in it. It wasn't just like Joey carrying her, and she won
Yeah.
safety for herself. So like that's great. And I really think the only reason that she hasn't like had a super big like breakout moment is just because it has been the other side of things that have been super like in control of stuff. So I really think when it's bound to happen sooner or later when this thing like
Yeah.
flips on its head and Shield goes like ass up. I really think Victoria will get to shine.
I hope so. I
Yeah.
really hope
For
so, 'cause
some
I love her positioning.
to explain Victoria's position in the truest fashion, her number 1 is Joey, like one of the 2 figureheads of one side.
Yeah.
Her number 2 is Nicole, the other
Yeah.
figurehead of the
Yeah.
other side.
Mhm.
And her number 3 is Zach,
the
Delusional.
figurehead of the Hot Mess Express.
Yeah.
Yeah. And her 4 and 5 are Donnie and Amber, who are right behind Zach on the
Yeah.
chaos train.
So-
like,
If Shield's taking a shot at someone on the other side, they're not going to go for Victoria.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. which
They
is
might
a
put her
little-
up, but they're not going to be going for Victoria. Just like we did talk about that a few pods back of like, I think Sydney said it, how she could see Victoria going up sometime like soon within pre-jury, but like there was really no way she goes home.
Yeah.
That's honestly probably a really good call. Well, it was a good call because it happened. But
I'd be clocking shit like that. I don't know.
And honestly, I could totally see these main alliances crumbling after a few shots are taken at each other of them,
Yep.
and Victoria sweeping in and like picking up the pieces and like going through with it. So I think she's in a great spot still. And then Zach it's just another chapter in the clusterfuck that has been Zach on the season. I love him dearly.
Yeah.
It's
And
fantastic.
he's so entertaining, and I will gladly watch it every cycle, but it's just such a mess. I think it is time that we move on to our MVPs and Lisa Vanderpump LVPs of the week. Does anyone in particular is just rearing to go to do their awards? Graham?
Yeah, I'll go first. My MVP is Nicole this week. I just think she had a really fantastic week, bouncing back from last week after she kind of shot her positioning a little bit by winning HOH and being forced to put up some people. But again, because of the messy Devin Joey vote and the fallout because of that, and then the Zach of it all, and then the Donnie of it all, she managed to basically fade back into the shadows and then get her Tandem Mouse fan cam punishment and like make everyone love her again. You know what I mean? And basically everybody forgot what happened last week almost immediately by the time that the cycle was over, just because she's so lovable. And she's so well socially connected, and her ability to reposition herself, I think, is probably going to be really good for her. Because, like we said, she's already making connections with the other side. She patched up her relationship with Joey. She has a good relationship with Victoria. She has a lot of good things going for her, even outside of Shield. But those things are actually good, and they're not like messy outside of Shield, because we have some people like Zach who do have stuff going on outside, but it's like, as Jackson said, it's like a clusterfuck. So I'm really happy that Nicole's playing well. And I think she's definitely my MVP of the week for bouncing back as well as she did. I mean, I knew she would anyway, but it was good to actually see it in action. My Lisa Vanderpump this week, gonna be Donnie again, simply because being absolutely in the clear on that whole vote situation and then drunkenly going around and telling people that you were the flip vote and you are the reason that like their ally went home, after everyone was like, OMG, it can't be Donnie. Donnie's so lovely. Donnie's so wonderful. And then completely blitzing your position for zero reason. I can't give it to anybody else.
Yeah.
Even like,
It was truly mind-boggling.
I just can't. Like, I was watching it happen in real time, shocked.
I think I will go next because once again, Graham and I are twinning with our MVP LVP picks. I was going to consider Joey, and up until like 3 hours ago, she was my pick. However, I just, as we were going through this podcast, it has recalled to me that like Nicole was able to go from Joey swearing death on her as much as she was Derek to like being basically as tight as they can possibly be, aside from like Hayden and Victoria. So I am going to give Nicole her flowers for like after winning an H2H, she didn't need to win, and everything getting so derailed, she was able to like readjust her position and get back there. But I will also give Joey her flowers. We're going full cockroach mode, actually surviving Battle of the Block this time in an amazing fashion. And my LVP will once again, 2 weeks in a row, be Donnie because, brother, what are you doing? Like, I don't, there's nothing I can say I haven't already said or that Graham hasn't already said. But yeah, just Donnie, Donald's my man. Please clean it up. I beg of thee.
Not going to give any points earning MVP points because I wasn't present for the entire cycle because it was when I was getting back from Vegas and everything, and I don't feel too confidently enough to say anybody. But I do want to give a little spiritual honorable mention shout out to Caleb for, I mean, the 4 for 4 getting yourself off the block. That's just fucking impressive. And I think he deserves his flowers for that. I will, however, give out an LVP because just from everything I've heard from y'all about this, I have to give it to Donnie because I'm never in favor of telling on yourself. Like, why? Why are you telling on yourself? So yeah, we've got to strike him a bit for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm twinning as well. I guess like thrupling or quadrupling. I don't know at this point. Of course, it has to be Nicole. it's that kind of week where so much bad stuff happened that it was hard to like kind of pull out who was playing well because the people who were playing well were really under the radar. And Nicole did it the best. I think she's being very masterful at it. Other people in the house are getting better at it too. Like Victoria's very good at it as well. I just think Nicole and Cody's actually, even though it doesn't seem that way sometimes to us because we have access to his DR, but in the house, like Cody's a Cody's a strong social presence, but he's actually like pretty good at flying under the radar. But Nicole just does it the best. Of course, last week was kind of a blip on the radar for her, but like you guys said, the fact that she was able to like reposition herself and climb back up and do as well as she has, I mean, it's very impressive. Like it's one thing to be good and stay on the top, and it's another thing to be on the top, drop down quite a bit, and then make your way all the way back up within like one cycle. I mean, it's impressive. So
Absolutely.
she's the obvious choice. My LVP is Donnie. I don't really have any words. I think my words are bad gameplay and annoying. I always have to insult my LVP every week a little bit. I mean, come on.
Yeah, so I will round us out. I really can't think of giving it to anyone other than Nicole. So I agree. I am going to give my MVP to Nicole. I think a lot of like what everyone else has kind of already said. I think this is one of the cycles where you can't necessarily win the game this early or on a cycle like this, but you can absolutely lose it. And some people are really doing their best to lose the game pre-jury, and Nicole really just seems to have that natural like spark and social game. It's like she hits the middle, that sweet spot with so many people where she's super sociable, but in a fun way, not a threatening way. She's good at comps when she wants to be or needs to be, but it's fine because we can use that for her to work with us, and we want that on our side. And all of that. So everything that everyone has said and more, I want to give Nicole her flowers this cycle and give her my MVP point. And like on the opposite end, like I hate to really just have this be like an echo chamber, but like what can you even do about Dawn in this cycle?
Yeah.
Like it genuinely was someone taking their position that was extremely beneficial and something that he could have easily gotten away with and something that he had gotten away with,
Yeah.
and actively making the choice to worsen his game and in doing that. And the fact that he did all of that and had all of these people talking about him and not trusting him and really like throwing him down on the trust rankings, and him still at the end of the cycle going into his DR and being like, I think this was a great week for me to bounce back from last cycle. Like this was perfect with Zach in power and
It's
everything.
so
I did a great
awesome.
job of fading back into the background, and now I can do what I want to do. It's like
It's brilliant though.
I think
have
he's
to
the new
say, it's
Devin in terms of
incredible.
bad
it's
week.
extremely entertaining, and I hope he's here for quite a bit of time.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh
He's
I
yeah.
think he
bad
will stick
weeks.
around at least for a few more cycles. I really don't know how deep in a jury he has in him, but I do think he'll stick around until at least that point. So we can look forward to more Bandana Waddle Delusion last cycle. And now we have Donnie Delusion. Donnie, yeah, Donnie Delusional. We'll workshop it, but it's definitely of the same family and of the same brand. So yeah, my LVP has to be Donnie for this cycle as well. We have discussed our MVP and LVP. Sydney, would you like to take us away with the trainer of the episode as well?
Of course. I don't think it'll come as a surprise to anybody, but the trainer of the week is naturally Miss Nicole, our queen. I won't repeat everything we said because we've kind of hit the nail on the head, but yeah, I mean, she was the clear front runner of the week, vastly improved her positioning, stood out, took herself out of the mess, was on the fringes where she needed to be, patched up holes where that had been left after her HOA train last week. I mean, literally, I don't think there's any better way she could have rebounded from what happened last week.
I
She
agree.
did everything she needed to and a little bit more, but not too much.
If you use the word moderation with a lot of these people, they would be like deer in headlights. They wouldn't know what you're talking about.
No. They just are so much all the time. And I appreciate that Nicole sometimes is just normal. And it's beautiful and it works out well for her. and she's doing great. So she is the obvious and clear deserving trainer of the week.
Woo! I will be excited for the week that all of us have a different MVP. And Sydney's
I'm excited.
the episode is something completely different. Like I'm foaming at the mouth for it.
And we spend the last like half hour of this
Arguing.
podcast arguing and
Yeah, I
talking
wanna-
shit with each other. But yeah, all right. We've given out our MVPs and our LVPs, and Sydney's deemed the trainer of the episode. The only thing we have left is to take our little stroll down memory lane, and we are in cycle 4 now. We have got to discuss our favorite cycle 4 moments in BB Rewind's history. Does anyone want to go?
There are so many.
Me.
Sydney's
So many to choose
rearing
from.
to go. You go for it, girl.
Mine is just fast and funny. Thankfully, you guys reminded me. I had no idea when this happened. I knew it was pre-jury, but at BBR7, Bernie was infamous in the house for giving nothing, but being apparently a part of the ABC power structure. Long story short, we had POV. Bernie was on the block, and I was playing in it. I'm pretty sure it was POV because I think I was picked for it.
Yeah, because they came down to me and Ashley for POV.
Yeah. And I love Ring of Fire. I was very excited. We're playing the POV. Everything's going well. Bernie gets question master, where if he asks someone a question and they answer, then that person's out. And I can't remember even what he asked, but he asked a question. I answered, trying to be nice. Got eliminated, which I've never had that happen in real life. I'll say I played a lot of real life Ring of Fire. That's never happened. Of course, it happened to BBR wins because I just can't win a competition. And then, like, immediately after the competition's over, Bernie's in my DMs. Also, just remember, Bernie and I, like, don't talk. Bernie doesn't talk to anybody, but especially not me. He comes in my DMs just to say, by the way, I asked the host, and they said that's the first time anyone's ever been eliminated in Ring of Fire for that reason. So, feel special, girl.
Iconic.
Shout out Dexter.
Like, literally, like, I can't imagine anything more iconic than that. I was flabbergasted. This is kind of what made me and Elizabeth/Jeevan start to be like hating Bernie, because I took it right back to Jeevan and me. We were flabbergasted. But in hindsight, like, I'm so glad that happened, because Feel Special Girl is forever.
It's iconic.
Feel Special
It's
Girl,
so
yeah, is
iconic.
one of the like catchphrases of Big Brother Rewind.
Yeah.
No, it's amazing. I mean, literally, he could not have said anything more funny or on point than in that moment. So thank you, Dexter, for BB Rewind's history. And yeah, that's mine.
I will do the obligatory season 12. That way Jackson doesn't have to do it every week.
You like do it every cycle.
However, I will say this is the week that Brittany gets backdoored the week
By
after
Brendan.
by Brendan, the week after she refused the diamond power of veto. She gets offered, we talked about it a little bit last week. Last week in cycle 3, she gets offered the diamond power of veto after they're in jury, because like everybody's quit or walked. And they get to jury, so she's offered the diamond power of veto. She says no. Jackson is so shocked and flabbergasted that he accidentally sends it to her anyway, because he thought she would say yes and she didn't. And she's like, oh damn, can I have that back? And we're like, no. And then it comes to the next week, and she gets backdoored, and she doesn't have any safety because she refused the diamond power of veto. So that's just one of those serendipitous Big Brother moments.
You know, we talk about how terrible Big Brother 12 was, but what season have we brought up every single episode on this? Exactly. Maybe
It's
Big Brother 12
true.
is that girl. Maybe Big Brother 12 is the best season of Big Brother Rewinds.
My other one is just a quick shout out to BB Rewinds 13. It was the week I was on the block. Rip. The one time I was on the block.
And when Jamaica fully throws you under the bus,
Jamaica
right?
Many a time. To Edvin and Brody at that. Or sorry,
ran
Joshua and Chelsea,
me over with the bus.
Forwards,
The entire
backwards.
time I was giving Jamaica my entire game, thinking we were in it together, and she threw me under the bus and then ran me over and then backed me back over with it. Yeah, that was the great split of Jamaica, and
Yes.
RIP, but that was
Jamber.
the only time I was
This
on the block,
is
and that's
that-
the only vote I had
my-
cast against me. Season
Yeah,
one.
that was also the start of Kaser's reign of terror on that season.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as the
Wait,
reigning,
was that
I want to give a
that
shout
was
out.
the week, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was
that
gonna say,
was the week that okay, this is longer than I thought it was going to be, but that's the week
Okay.
that the iconic Angie, Kaser, Amber split situation happened, where Amber, I ratted out an alliance that we were all in to Josh. And Josh tells me Kaser also ratted out the alliance because Kaser and I both ratted it out. And then we both ran back to Angie immediately to try to pin it on the other person because we knew we were fucked. And so, in a fever dream haze of events, I make up an alliance that I'm pretty sure exists between Kaser and Angie and Shelly to lie to Angie and say that Josh told me that Kaser spilled this, so she'll believe me. And then that Hail Mary ended up working. And Angie was like, "Oh my God, I do have that alliance. I'm so
Oh my
sorry for lying to you." And I was like, "You really should be. That really hurt my
Oh
feelings."
my God.
And then I absolutely decimated an entire duo that week with my lies. That was a cracked cycle. I forgot that was all in that one cycle. That was kind of a cracked cycle of Baby Ruth.
Yeah, I was gonna say just on the topic of 13 and Luke, aka Keaton, that was one of my two trio partners from BB6 because I didn't have a normal partner, definitely not. That was their first competition win in like 14 cycles, and
Yeah.
it was the HOH that destroyed their game, which is in true Luke fashion. But then my favorite moment, or moments, I should say, both just because of the sheer poor swan of them all. Guess who left in week 4? Not only once, but twice, getting put up next to his nemesis Jen by Shima, of all people, to go home unceremoniously. Well, he
Leave
did
it
another
to a
call out
stray inactive to send me home
with another
every fucking time.
another beautiful Sheila out speech from Swan on the way out the door next to
Oh, that
Jen.
was the
No,
And
I
worst.
then
mean, I think I did like a riff on my original one, but it was like super
yeah,
nice about it.
yeah.
And
And
that one,
then of course,
I think I lost the veto by 37 seconds too.
yeah, it was a
Yeah,
math
it was
one or
very
It
close.
Something
was
something.
like
very
that.
sad.
Yeah, you
I
was too
remember
close.
waking up in the morning, looking at my phone, being like,
Because
okay,
Shima
cool,
swept the
and
week,
going back to
and it
bed.
was just yeah. And then
No, I
Rewinder
was so
game,
upset.
It was really
where
bad.
you got week 4 yet again.
And
Swan
it
After
was
was
that
literally
upset
just
really
from
because
Cindy
like
Lou.
Shima had no place in the house, and so she was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna put two vets up against each other." And of course, Jen had a better relationship with my own clique than fucking me. So, like,
And
I will
also
say, as far as like storylines go, the literal like 2-season storyline of you and Jen
between you and Jen, it's
yeah,
like
coming to a close like that was very satisfying narratively to me. Obviously, it was
yeah,
not satisfying you
perhaps.
going home because I wanted
yeah.
you to succeed, but as far like from a story point, it was good.
Yeah, and I wanted to do a quick
Fine.
shout out to season 15 with the Tiny Kong 5-4, where Isabel and got Magikarp put on the block MVP, and then we like did the whole flip and we saved Hazel, and it worked out.
Yeah,
It
if you're just
definitely
gonna touch on
was.
that, I'm gonna go deep into it. Cycle 4, Big Brother Rewinds
God,
15.
that cycle was crazy.
6-4
Yep.
vote just shook the house. Doomslayer went home. Imposters trying to get their lick back at the salad.
Salads.
But Zelda ends up winning HOH. So Zelda nominates Clementine and Lara because the whole plan is to backdoor Tiny Kong. Because if you just nominate Tiny Kong like we did last cycle, she's just gonna win veto and she'll take herself off. So
Yep.
we need to backdoor her. And then Isabel, for losing her husband last cycle and her closest ally in the game, is given MVP. So Isabel has to hatch a plan to somehow turn this week around because like they're playing on the back foot again. So who can she get to like get the votes to flip and still do it? So she puts up Magikarp, who was not super connected to either side. He
Mm-mm.
bounced back and
Yeah,
forth
my
between
King
it.
Gly.
Yeah, so and then on top of Zelda winning HOH, Sunflower wins veto. And Sunflower is like, okay, we're fucking full sending it. Sunflower uses the veto on Lara, and Zelda backdoors Tiny Kong and puts Tiny Kong up as the replacement nominee. And the vote literally comes down to 5-4. Shinx, Sombra, Isabel, Pikmin, and Lara. Lara, the very person that Sunflower just vetoed to save, vote them and sends Magikarp home 5-4.
On top of all this, Magikarp goes and spills all the beans to the to the Sunflower Zelda Brigade
The salads.
to the salads. And they have they're like, oh my God, I can't believe Magikarp sealed their own fate because they were just running around causing chaos.
Yeah,
On
absolutely.
top of all of it. It was such a good cycle.
And this cycle also largely produced the breadsticks.
Yeah.
In the
Yes,
middle
true.
of the salads and the pastas in Purple Pikmin and Sombra and
Sombra.
Lara
Yeah.
being the swing boats and deeming them, and I mean they never called themselves that, but us as
But we
a
sure did.
Can I just say
breadsticks.
that so the I'm Pasta Alliance was formed first, and it was for really some stupid reason that they were called
It
I'm
was me.
Pasta.
I wanted to throw in another pasta reference because I'm fucking dumb.
Right. So
Yeah,
then
'cause
when
you were the
the
mac and cheese
opposite
bites on season 6.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So when the
Easter egg.
opposite side of the house formed their actual alliance, all of the spectators in the house were like, fuck, they need to be called the salads. There has to be like a narrative.
There was like an Olive
dissonance.
Garden motif for some
No,
reason.
literally, like weirdly, it was coming through. So Jackson was in that alliance and was like, guys, I just like really love salad. Like, what about you guys? And then he's like, I think like you guys should name this salads. Like, salads are really great. And Sunflower's like, are you calling us fat?
And I was like,
And
yeah, y'all could use some salad. And then
It
I
was-
renamed it salads.
Jackson is bullying them. And then Erin comes on and she's like, why are we called the salads?
But then
Because
then
we're
they
fat.
reclaimed it and made it the
Idge
Bowl
Bowl
salads.
salads.
And it was really
Which
funny.
is even better.
And then
But I
yeah, I
remember-
really did
oh my
shoehorn
God.
in that breadsticks thing in the middle. But it all worked. It was an amazing cycle.
That was a great week.
5-4 vote, split vote. That whole house just was not afraid to vote how they wanted to and vote in the minority and vote against other people, and I loved it.
Oh God, and Sunflower like used the veto and Zelda toiled back and forth on whether to actually go through.
Oh
was-
yeah, there was
Sunflower had to, like,
tumult. I think we
bully
ran to the
Zelda
deadline or something.
Just doing the
Yeah.
backdoor.
Sunflower basically like groveled and like literally begged and pleaded and nagged
It was like,
Zelda
please.
for 24 hours
for the full thing to get her to finally renom Tiny Kong.
and only for it to not work.
Yeah, just for it to not work anyway.
Oh my God.
Iconic.
And
15
then
was such a good season.
there was 2 other Cycle 4 moments that I feel like they can't go without being said. Of course, we have Adria going and rapping the entire verse of My Shot from Hamilton.
Oh
Just
my
for our beloved
God.
Holly Josie to wait for them to finish
I
and
forgot.
then shoot them. And then they
Oh
end.
my God.
And it's
This
over.
was hi. Karen
Jackson
Gandy
lived it.
here. Big Brother 5. I lived this moment and I can genuinely tell you that it is one of the funniest things I've ever experienced on Discord. Adria, for some reason, had this like fascination, hyperfixation on Hamilton that season. And yeah, we were doing a live HOH competition where we basically like could choose like to shoot each other. I don't know. Like that's literally what it was. And so every round you could either like fire your gun into the air or you could shoot it at somebody or like parry of some kind and like reflect it back onto somebody. And pretty much everyone had just been shooting into the air because no one wanted to make the first shot. And so, yeah, obviously the My Shot Hamilton reference was right there. And it was like right up Adria's alley for it. So Adria literally sends, it wasn't even like one big message. It was like line by line.
Line by line.
The entire like big like climax rap of My Shot from Hamilton. And it just so happens it times out. Right when she finishes, the round is done and we all make our decision. And so she finishes the rap and then Holly shoots Adria down. And Adria gets eliminated from the competition. Thank you for reminding me about that, Shanks, because that
course.
genuinely was such a highlight for me.
What week was that? The week Adria went home?
No.
It was week
That
4.
was the week. That was the
Yeah.
week that Jace went home.
Yes.
And Adria was being so fucking annoying, campaigning for Jace to stay, that I convinced Ari to use her own veto and renom Adria just for being annoying. She's like, if you love Jace so much, you can be on the block with him. And then we didn't even evict Adria. We still evicted Jace. She was just so annoying.
Adria left the next week. I'm looking at the charts. And then just the last moment I want to touch on was BB9, where these cruel, cruel people it was the week where the pairs were ending and you had to like earn your spot to the solo stage. And then it was Allison and Matt on the block against Joshua and Alex. They saved Joshua and Alex unceremoniously. Allison has been trying to get her foot in this game, and Matt is one strike out the fucking
It's
door.
fucking useless. He had 2 strikes at this
Yeah,
point.
2 strikes already.
The cycle before, they had literally 1 HOH on a technicality.
But yep,
He got a strike
Because he wasn't. Yep.
for not participating in
just reading
Wait.
the HOH in
because
the
of that, it affected the scores so that Allison, his partner, won. So they
Yep.
won HOH literally because he got a strike and didn't do it. And then
Yep.
got another strike at some point along the way. So he was on 2 strikes by the time him and Allison were on the block. And so
Yeah.
Allison said, guys, just vote to evict Matt. He's going to strike out. Gets a strike herself because production is strategy. And then everyone votes her out.
Because they know
Yeah,
that
it was
Matt's gonna strike out.
Yeah.
So they
yeah, it was
stop.
a 5-1
next
vote.
week.
And
Everyone
then
except
the next competition, Matt gets a strike. You know,
24 hours later, like less than. And it
Right.
was like, damn.
So bad.
that's our
And that's all of our cycle 4s.
I know. We'll see you guys all next time, same place for cycle 5. The pre-jury of the game is wrapping up and we're about to hit
Wow.
into this jury phase. A bunch of exciting stuff, I'm sure. So we'll see you guys
Yeah.
then. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.